can science explain the order we find in the world without God? Is the universe, and all the things in it, the result of an absolutely random and absolutely unguided process? Are we ourselves the result of such a process? Some say yes. They point to scientific discoveries in quantum mechanics and also in the field of evolutionary biology, arguing that randomness gives rise to the intricate complexity and apparent order that we see all around us. Some of them then use this argument to undermine belief in God, as if to say, we can explain everything we see without God. In response, some Christians and other theists have argued that chance events could not have given rise to this order we see around us, and that we must instead posit that God has designed each thing and has brought it into being in its final and irreducibly complex form. And so it might seem as if we have to choose between God and randomness, between a world where God is in charge with a plan for the cosmos, and one where there is no plan and no God in charge of it. But according to St. Thomas Aquinas, both sides of this debate are making a mistake. In this video, and the next, we'll explore why. What is randomness? In an earlier video, a physicist who's also a Dominican priest, Father Thomas Davenport, gives some examples from contemporary physics. If you empty your junk drawer, filled with things like pencil stubs, rubber bands, paper clips, and old takeout menus, into a box and shake it up, the resulting position of each item in the box is unpredictable and could even seem random. But as Father Thomas explained, this apparent randomness is not absolute, and it exists within a wider context of order. For example, items of various shapes fall into a position that minimizes gravitational energy as the shaking stops. The point is that when we use the word random, we usually mean something that is hard or impossible to predict, or that doesn't follow any recognizable pattern. But that doesn't mean that it's absolutely uninformed by any order whatsoever, or is without purpose or directedness. Even less does it mean that it is uncaused. Such a view of absolute randomness is neither philosophically coherent nor compatible with contemporary science. In fact, when contemporary science talks about something as undetermined, whether it's the location of a paperclip in your junk drawer or the position and momentum of a subatomic particle, it is identifying an indeterminacy in a certain range, but set in the context of a wider order. How does this work in quantum mechanics? It might seem that in that field, we find quite strong claims of indeterminacy. At a minimum, quantum mechanics teaches that there is a limit on how well the actual conditions of an object can be known, such as its position and momentum, and especially when we're talking about very small things like subatomic particles. Now, some physicists think that a subatomic particle does have a determinate position and momentum, and we just can't observe or know it, while others think that this is not just a limit on our knowledge. They theorize that the underlying reality itself is undetermined and probabilistic. Even so, whatever the case, quantum mechanics presupposes a wider order. A radioactive atom like uranium will either decay or not decay. And when that decay happens may be unpredictable or even undetermined in principle. But when it does happen, we know that that particle won't become, say, a bunny rabbit. We know that this event will be characterized by a great deal of order. For example, energy and momentum will be conserved. And if the timing of the decay is undetermined, there still are patterns and structures about how an atom will decay. Indeterminacy of this sort is not absolute randomness. And this kind of indeterminacy is compatible with the views of St. Thomas Aquinas. According to Aquinas, God is the only purely or absolutely necessary reality. All other beings are contingent. That is, it's possible for them not to be. Indeed, Aquinas holds that God has created more noble and higher beings than any material creatures, which he calls angels. They are purely spiritual beings, and so they're not affected by the change and contingency that are an inescapable dimension of material reality. As we descend from the highest things, from God, through immaterial creatures like angels, into the order of what is visible and material, Aquinas thinks that we find more and more potentiality, and thus more and more contingency and indeterminacy. In fact, following Aristotle, Aquinas identifies a principle of material realities called prime matter, which is purely potential, and thus which is profoundly indeterminate. Likewise, Aquinas enumerates different kinds of causes. Some are necessary causes, while others are truly contingent causes. There is for Aquinas true chance and contingency in the world, and especially in the material world. All of this is caused by God as a part of his providential governance of the world. He brings some things about through necessary causes, and he brings other things about through causes and processes that, seen within the perspective of this world, are truly contingent and even undetermined. We'll have more to say on precisely how Aquinas understands this in our next video. For now, it's enough to say that when physics investigates the building blocks of our material universe and comes up against quantum indeterminacy, we should not be scandalized. There's no need to worry that this means God is not in charge. Far from it. For Aquinas, the answer is precisely that God shows his greatness in that he governs the world in a vastly superior way to any creature. God can do so through things that, within the framework of creation, are not determined to any necessary outcome or result. Seen from our creaturely perspective, from within the universe, those causes are truly contingent. But from God's perspective, since he establishes them in being and gives them their causal power, he can use these contingent causes to bring about a definite result according to his plan. That's because God is the transcendent cause and source of all that is. He is not a part of the universe, but infinitely transcends it, undergirding it and holding it in being, giving to everything its actuality and its power to cause at every moment whatsoever. Let me conclude with one final point. No matter what one says about indeterminacy or randomness, it will always remain the case that there must be a cause for why there's something rather than nothing. Nothing causes itself. Nothing brings itself into being. And the wider framework of order that we find all around us, within which science identifies indeterminacy and randomness, this wider order is an even more powerful witness to the reality of a transcendent, uncaused cause of all that is. Philosophy can prove that there is one ultimate and first cause of all things, which itself is uncaused. And, as Thomas Aquinas says in the Summa Theologiae, this cause is what we call God. For readings, podcasts, and more videos like this, go to Aquinas101.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for one of our free video courses on Aquinas, and don't forget to like and share with your friends because it matters what you think.